Hi, friends. We are here for our session on enhancing and sustaining the executive functioning skills during the summertime. We have our guest, Jasleen Monga, with us today. And let me introduce her a little formally. I've known her personally for some time. Jasleen is a certified educational therapist from UC Santa Cruz in California. Her specialization of work and focus of work lies in executive functioning and academic coaching, executive functioning skills coaching and academic coaching with tweens, teens, and young adults uh, with ADHD and twice exceptional profiles. She has mainly worked through the online sessions, and she runs a private practice named Unicorn Minds. And she has worked in independent and international schools as a classroom teacher for a very long time and in elementary to middle school children. And she's based in San Jose right now, but she takes online sessions throughout US and some international locations also. And here we are talking to Jasleen about how can we enhance and sustain the executive functioning skills through the summers. So, hi, Jasleen.
Hi, Anupma. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be part of this.
Yeah, so this is one topic which is a part of our educational therapy practice. Some practice more and some would do less with their focus areas. So explain to me what we mean, what by the term executive functioning skills, and what are some of those executive functioning skills?
Definitely. There are different definitions from different authorities. They're not just one definition that is accepted by all, but definitely the most accepted one comes from Peg Dawson and Gore,
Mm-hmm.
wherein they state it as a state executive functioning as the brain-based cognitive processes, right? It helps to regulate your behavior, your decision making, and it helps in achieving goals as well. So, in simple words, you can say that it is something that helps you get stuff done, right? Now, it's the way you achieve your ultimate goal. These processes are basically executed in the prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain. And, you would be surprised, or at least our viewers who do not have an idea about it would be surprised that it actually matures entirely by late 20s or early 30s. So, when we are talking about these skills being incorporated at different age groups,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard for them because the brain develops from back to front. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's the last part that you can actually work on, or it gets developed later in life. Some of the skills that I can name, the common ones, definitely everyone knows, it's time management, planning, prioritization, organization, right? Um, and there are others that are involved, like working memory, response inhibition, emotional control. So going forward with understanding what it is, right? Time management, as we know, it is the capacity for someone to estimate how much time you would need to something, how to meet the deadlines. Planning and prioritization is like creating your own plan to achieve something, and you know that by what time you need to complete the task. So there's an overlap between the executive function skills as well. As you can see, you need to have a management of time to see how you can achieve your goals, right? Organization is to creating and maintaining your system of tracking things, tracking information, tracking material. Working memory helps you in holding information in your memory while you're performing the complex task. And response inhibition
Mm-hmm.
is, it is very important because it is looked as a capacity to think before you act. You have to resist the urge, especially, in this age of technology, resisting the urge to leave your phone and then, doing something important is what it involves. Along with that, emotional regulation, right? How well you manage your emotions to achieve your goals, to complete your tasks, and to sustain your attention over a period of time. Task initiation is an important one because we see most of the students now talking about procrastination, right? I'm not able to start with something. So that is one of the executive function skill as well. Your flexibility. How well can you plan to face the obstacles or challenges that you might have, learn from your mistakes, and then, work on it again in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Another important one is metacognition. It is not the part of the brain that is related to prefrontal cortex. So definitely this is one which Some might say it's not part of it, but it's an important contributor to the process, right? And it means, in simple terms, it means just thinking about your own thinking, your self
Mhm.
evaluation, your self monitoring to see how it goes. And the latest one that has been added by Peck Dawson and Gore after the global pandemic is stress tolerance. So this is the most recent one that has been added to the list, and it's actually the ability to just thrive in the stressful situations and cope up with those uncertainties that we see.
Yeah.
We are not, to mention, we are not actually, referring to the medical stress, anxiety, and depression here. We are just sticking to the stress tolerance in terms of the academic performance or workforce.
So this is such a broad area. I wish when I was growing up in school and college, and when I had to prepare for my exams or manage my time or have a self-regulation, I wish I had an access to some coach or some guidance in this area when I was in school or college myself. Maybe I would have done a lot of things differently if I had the guidance and coaching myself. But we have an access to all these services, specialized services for identifying the areas where the students might need attention to and get the right and appropriate services. So tell me, Jasleen, here that how do these executive functioning skills impact our day-to-day life, or for that matter, in school-related areas? Where does it impact us as human beings, or and especially the children in that age group where you work?
Yeah, especially, as I was telling you about all the details of all these things, you might have seen that these skills are quite interrelated,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they definitely reflect differently at each age group, but they're there. Like if you talk about time management, a first grader would reflect it in a way, okay, I have this class, I'm sitting in this class, and I have to complete this one sentence or paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you move to the PhD level, and this is my personal experience working with varied age groups, right? If I'm working with a PhD student, they have a completely different strategy of looking into these skills, but they are interrelated in a way that you have to organize, you have to plan, to manage your time, right? It cannot work in isolation. You have to have a reflection on your performance to perform better later. Now, how it affects our day-to-day life, actually, you need it for everything, right? It helps you manage yourself. It helps you manage your resources to achieve the goals. Now, your decision making, your problem solving, your adapting to the environment, it all depends on your executive function skills. Like you're driving a car,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to look at the roadmap. Where do you need to go? How much time it's going to take? As simple as buying groceries, you need to know what you need to pick from the shelves. You have to navigate your way to those shelves. So it all comes under that, meeting deadlines, planning. With school-based kids,
Mm-hmm.
it is more about academic part, and no one looks at it when they are at home. And that's why we are here to talk about the summer
Yeah.
strategies, right?
Yeah.
Because even if they're waking up, they're deciding what to eat, what to wear. It's executive functioning,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Just packing their bag, knowing what to take, what to leave, because they don't want to carry everything if they don't have those subjects on those days. It's executive function skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Looking into
adhering to a timetable or a schedule in the
exactly,
school. Yeah.
right? You have to be in school by 7:30, so you need to plan accordingly. How
Mm-hmm.
much time do I need to get up? Even with the younger ones, if you are making them aware of these systems at a younger age, um, it really helps them hone those skills, right? For a time being, till the time their systems mature, you are their external executive function drive. Let's
Mm-hmm.
look at it that way, right? It can
Mm-hmm.
be parents, it can be any other adult, it can be the coach,
Mm-hmm.
because they need that help. So, definitely anything that you're doing throughout the day requires these skills.
Yeah, that makes sense, a lot of sense, because in my experience of working in a classroom situation or in my private practice, what we have seen that you give an assignment, the kids might forget that assignment to bring it in the classroom, or they may have wrong books and notebooks
Mhm.
in their backpacks, or some of them might be carrying the whole backpack rather than
Right.
just that day schedule wise arrangement. So there I would see that the importance even in the young early elementary stages also.
I agree. A simple checklist, right, can work
Yeah.
for any age group. I'm not, obviously, we're not discussing the strategies today because part two of this will
Yeah.
definitely cover all that. But yes, I mean, like simplest things and making time visual for them, having a clock makes things easier, right? So,
Yeah.
all these things to help you execute any program, any part of task that you want to is important.
Got it. Yep, yep. That's interesting. Very interesting. So, Jasleen, a quick question that comes to my mind now is why do kids need to be coached for EF skills then? Why do we need to guide them, coach them for these executive functioning skills? Why?
That's a really great question. Actually, executive function coaching is required for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The major one is neurodiversity, which
Mm-hmm.
basically means variation in human brain functioning, right? Some kids are wired in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. There might be kids who are, or adults even, who are diagnosed with executive function disorder or ADHD, wherein the maturity of the prefrontal cortex is delayed, right, in them. So they face challenges. So they
Mm-hmm.
might need someone else who's professionally trained to guide them through the process, and, as I said, be an external drive for them, right? Other students who are diagnosed with learning disabilities like dyslexia, dyscalculia, autism, right? Or at times, it doesn't work in isolation. So a
Mm-hmm.
student who has a learning difficulty or have executive function disorder may have a coexistence of other learning difficulties as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it caters to all of that. Anyone with anxiety and depression, again, going back to what I said, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not their therapist. I'm not going to help them with anxiety and depression in terms of medical term, but I'm going to give them tools and strategies to see how we can bring down those triggers,
Mm-hmm.
right, for their performance in
Yeah.
their academic area or in terms of their workforce. And
Mm-hmm.
then there are some students, bright students, who are called twice exceptional, wherein they might struggle in one area, but they're so bright in other areas and they have their, strategies of their own that they kind of just camouflage the challenges that they're facing. So
Mm.
they are able to kind of walk through this for a very long period of time, but then definitely they need help at a later stage, right?
Yeah.
And not to forget about the global pandemic. So we have seen extreme changes in terms of young adults and adults. Forget about the kids, right?
Yeah.
There's a decline in executive function skills
Mm-hmm.
when we look at that. It might be due to numerous reasons. I mean, like, it could be because of the isolation that was done. It could be because of anything that impacted them in that process. The big change from being in a classroom to an online platform throughout, not having that social interaction. So it has impacted the skills in many ways. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. And the worst part is that these kids who have this neurodiversity or are challenged with any other condition, they are tagged as lazy, they are tagged as unmotivated, disinterested, unorganized, and it demotivates them further from learning. So
Yeah.
in that case, it's not just the common analysis that they need,
Mm-hmm.
like organize yourself, or you need to pay attention in the classroom, take notes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for them. So in that case, they require an executive function awareness analysis that is provided by an executive function coach.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find the root cause of
Of
those
course. Yeah.
challenges,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have to go beyond time management and planning and organization. They need to have a self-awareness. So as a coach, your goal basically becomes more aligned with how I can move my client from a stage of struggle
Mm-hmm.
where he or she or they need constantly help, and move them to where they can be an independent executor and become an advocate for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also a part of it is training parents, coaching parents, depending on how much involvement they are willing to have. Definitely making them aware of the science behind it, how they can contribute to the process, how it can be an easy environment for both them as well as their child.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Lot of sense. So, as you mentioned, that the kids with neurodiversity, with extreme case of the features and the signs and symptoms in their behavior would need uh, to have executive functioning
Mhm.
coaching. Why is it important for them? And yeah, so now tell me one very important other important aspect, like why should honing of these skills be very important in the summertime also, when the kids are relaxing during the summertime or they have a downtime? Why do we need to hone these skills during the summertime?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very important aspect of it. Before we move to that, I want to ask you a question.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I know personally, working with you for so long, that your own kids, your daughter and son, did go for executive functioning coaching for a while, right? Now
Uh-huh.
tell me, what ways did that coaching support your own children?
Okay. Interesting stories to share. So both my kids are doing well in school,
Mm-hmm.
so no typical features of neurodiversity as such.
Mm-hmm.
Bright kids, but as a mom and as a professional in the field of educational therapy, I saw that somewhere, and especially during the pandemic time and when my daughter was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's working in New York. So when I saw that these kids are showing some signs where they might um, have an advantage if they get some executive functioning. They might benefit from
Mm-hmm.
executive functioning coaching.
Right, right.
Initially, there was some resistance, but within the allied professional network I had, so I spoke to my family and then the kids themselves. They said, "Mom, okay, we can try." So two different therapists for two different kids, one in entering college and one in high school
Mm-hmm.
timing. So they went to two different therapists, and both of them significantly gained with the help of an executive functioning coach. And both of them, one of them is still continuing. And my son, who was in school and now is entering college, is still taking the help with one of our, you know her and I know her,
Mm-hmm.
with one
Yeah,
common friend.
true.
So a friend and a professional alliance. So my son is still continuing with that executive functioning coach, and I personally feel that I have taken some tips personally with this coach, and it has been of tremendous help, significant help to stay focused and prioritizing and manage my time myself and with both my kids too. And this is my personal story, and professionally also I use, because I work with younger children, you work with the older children, and I work with elementary grade children. That's my area. So I see, I incorporate some strength. I'm not an executive function coach. I work in different areas. So still I understand the importance of EF coaching. So I incorporate bits and pieces of staying on task, organizing my backpack, or managing my time, or keeping how to keep the binders organized, taking out the extra worksheets and storing
Exactly.
them in the binder at home, and what is more important, arranging all that stuff, color coding things and color coding, highlighting all those things I use at times. So this is my personal and professional experience. So coming back to the question, why do we need to hone these skills during the summertime? Why is it important to keep working on executive functioning skills during the summertime?
Yeah, I feel summertime is definitely a downtime, right? It is a time to just reset yourself, your system. It's for kids as well as for parents, because it's my personal experience now as being a parent of a teenager having ADHD and defiance disorder. Uh, I can foresee the challenges that come with it, right? And you are being a homework cop throughout the academic year, right? You get exhausted with that, chasing it, for meeting deadlines, for
Right.
preparing for tests, whatnot. There's so much to do. So definitely, as parents and as kids, we need that downtime. At the same time, it is important to emphasize that these skills are important, right? And as we start getting into this practice of just relaxing, there's a concept of neural pathways, right? It's the network that connects the neurons in our brain that are basically responsible for sending signals and helping our brain perform functions. Now when you are in an environment which you're not sustaining those skills, definitely that kind of weakens those pathways. It's like you are walking on a path every day and then you stop walking on it. You might have difficulties recalling that path, right? So that's exactly the same thing with it. So it's really important for us to kind of stay focused on in certain things, to stay engaged, to prevent that learning loss, and to provide opportunities for us to grow as well.
Hmm.
without any additional pressure,
Hmm.
right? Because throughout the year, we are struggling with meeting the academic requirements.
Yeah.
Definitely, this is the downtime wherein you can enjoy, you can relax, but at the same time, have a balance to how to incorporate those skills in your day-to-day functioning so that you are not losing that skill that you've learned over
So,
time.
so Jasleen, what you're trying to say is that can we generalize the skills learned in throughout the academic skills, generalizing these EF skills in our skills at home or in our immediate environment and social interaction so that we can keep on practicing those things and without the academic pressure during the school year.
Exactly, because these are transferable skills. If you're
Yeah.
learning to plan something, how to take decision on certain things, how to organize certain areas, you're going to transfer that to your academic life also, right?
Mm,
You
mm.
maybe it's in a different format, but you
Yeah.
definitely know how to do it. If
Mm,
I'm asking you, okay, if you've learned about a topic, say amphibians, right?
mm,
If I'm asking you to give that learning, reflect that learning through making a video or by writing a paragraph, it's different ways you're doing it, but it's the
mm.
same, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly with the executive functioning skills. It is required on day-to-day basis. So even
Mm,
if you're doing it in small dosage, but
mm.
you are working on those skills, it's going to help you with the academic performance as well.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. So here we are. So we will be coming live next week also to discuss the hands-on strategies, practical strategies. So before I forget, Jasleen, can you please share your contact details, your website reference, so that if somebody wants to get in touch with you, they have some information to share with. Yep.
Sure, I'm going to share it in chat. I'm not sure if when you post the recording, they will be able to see all the details or not, but I can definitely post it.
Yeah, yeah. So we have all your information and we will be sharing the recording online on social media platform and on our YouTube channel also. So stay tuned for our next week's session around the same time and hopefully we will not have the technical glitches the way we
I
had
agree.
this time. And yeah, so hoping to see many of the participants joining us for the next session on Wednesday again, 19th at 6 p.m. PST. So Jasleen was agreed and she's been generous enough to join us again to share some hands-on practical strategies with the viewers and our audience there. Thank you so much, Jasleen. Thank you for
It was
joining.
my pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you.